So Bossman is saying equipment looking good. Yes, sir. I take great pride in my setup. I spend obviously thousands of dollars on this. And yeah, I get compliments pretty often, so I appreciate it. So today I did want to talk about when you should leave your job to do this full time. Because I know if you're new or I know it's a chapter that a lot of us are going to go through, and I can kind of tell you guys my experience or what happened to me. So for me, it was 35 accounts. Once I hit 35 bi-weekly accounts, that's when I made the jump and I did this full time. That's when I left my job, because I'm sure like many of you guys, what I was doing is I was juggling my my full-time job with this, trying to start this or pick this up or start from the bottom and kind of grow it as I'm juggling my real-time job. And then eventually you're going to hit that window, or you're going to hit that milestone where you can't keep taking on clients because your other job is getting in the way. And then that's pretty much where you cut ties, or you start cutting your hours back at your other job. But 35 good bi-weekly accounts was the magic number for me. And pretty much, what I was doing, if I want to just be, we can kind of do like a universal model. So say you're doing 17 clients a week, right? And you're charging at least 55 per yard for like medium to smaller cookie cutter yards. That's $935 a week that you're making from those 17 yards. So that's why for me it was 35, because it was a consistent income. Every week it was roughly the same. And again, that's only the beginning. As you start to get more clients, as years go by, that number keeps increasing over and over again. And then the next milestone you'll hit is like, oh, should I hire someone, or should I continue staying solo and really just focus on my route density, or should I just keep taking on all these clients and then just bring an extra set of hands to help with all the work that you're getting. But 35, but again, it's 35 good clients that aren't that aren't saying like, oh, hey, you can skip us today, or oh, hey, I only want you to cut my yard every 3 or 4 weeks. These clients are either weekly clients or bi-weekly clients. For me, it was bi-weekly clients, so that's why you need kind of like double the numbers opposed to like a weekly account. But yeah, and then once you reach that milestone, just keep in mind, come winter, it's gonna die off crazy, especially where I'm at. I know come November is pretty much like the last little bit of work that we'll get, and then December through February, my phone goes silent. Like, I am not getting any calls. So you got to make sure you're saving money. You're putting money aside for those 3 months, or some guys will probably do like Uber or DoorDash, or find a part-time job or seasonal job, and then when spring comes up, they switch back to this. I just take it off, because my body's tired. I use that time to spend with family and whatnot. We go on vacations, if I had a good year and whatnot. Last year was my first year going full time. So during winter, we literally just stayed at the house, watched TV, kind of just spend time with the family. I didn't want to spend money because of my debt and whatnot. So I just didn't want to keep, increasing my debt and whatnot. For this year, I'm hoping that, again, I pay off all my credit card debt, so that come winter, we can take a nice vacation, or we can go out every now and then. But yeah, so hopefully you guys hit that milestone. I'm sure a lot of us already did. And it's just great. It's beautiful. You're your own boss. Essentially, you're working harder and longer hours than you ever will, because a lot of us are hungry. And then eventually you kind of like tone it down. You're like, I'm happy where I'm at, and you just start overbidding and overquoting. And you're just shocked that you keep getting accepted, or that these clients keep accepting your, these prices and whatnot. And that's how, we make more money than we ever did. But boss man said he saw me at Ray's live, and I was just picking Ray's brain and asking him questions. But yeah, I just discovered Ray not that long ago. I'll put a picture of his channel, so go follow him. He's been in the game a lot longer, and he's just like a prime example of what you can do, or what we can do, if we just keep doing what we're supposed to do. Same thing like me. Like, he started from nothing. He built his his business from the ground up, and he's made a couple videos of how he's made a couple $1,000s in a couple hours and whatnot. He's invested most of his money back into his business. He has a couple trucks, a trailer, a skid steer, which ultimately help him grow. As far as me, I think I'm just gonna stick to what I'm doing, which is just like basic lawn care maintenance. I have a passion for it, and I remember at my old job there was this one guy that he was like, "Oh, I heard you have your lawn care business." I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "I love it, honestly." And he kind of laughed. He's like, "Wait, you love cutting grass?" And I was like, "As crazy as it seems, I do." And ultimately, he got fired, and I ended up leaving to do this full time. So, there's going to be guys out there, or just people in general, that are going to kind of like frown upon lawn care companies or lawn care guys that just come out here and do what I do. But at the end of the day, we're killing it. We're making more money. And if you're not, you will be making more money eventually than most of these people. And we'll reach that goal where we'll never be working for anyone else except ourselves. Yet they go in and clock out. And if that's you where you're at, I'm a prime example of keep doing that, but keep doing this on your 2 days off or 3 days off or whatever. And then eventually you'll be where I'm at. But anyways, I think this is it for this video. I got to knock out these last few yards before Jacob meets up with me. But anyways, like, subscribe. I appreciate y'all. Peace. So this is future Manny. We're still getting crazy rain. So even now we just got rained on. But it just passed. It was probably like 30 minutes of rain. But I kind of wanted to keep talking about, leaving your 9 to 5 job, and kind of add on to that video, because that was about like 2 weeks ago. But my feedback would be, or my advice would be, to just keep doing it. During summer is when you're really going to get tested, because it starts to get hot. It starts to get humid, especially where I'm at. There's days, especially this week, where I'm just like so thankful and grateful that I have Jacob, or I just have that second set of hands. Because once you start doing, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 yards a week by yourself, it's not sustainable. You're not, your body's not going to be able to keep up. Every morning you're going to struggle to keep up, or to get up, to get out of bed, and you're still going to have to go out there because you want that money and you do have a passion for it, but it's not sustainable on your body, especially in the long haul. And I talked about this in my other videos too, is that you want to be thinking ahead, and once you are making good money, like put some aside or reinvest, and kind of think of a exit plan. Do you want to keep building this business where you kind of step out of whatever role you are, where it's mainly doing everything, and then kind of be more at like a CEO, or more of like a owner position, where you're just overseeing it, and then you're probably just checking your guys' work and whatnot. But to be out here physically doing this, it's not sustainable. I'm young, I'm 32. But even this week, with the weather and everything, we'll get a little bit of rain, and then the sun comes out and it's just humid and dry. There's days where I got to take a few minutes to kind of like compose myself, or I'll throw cold water over my head. But I will say, my one advice is that you need to get a good helper. Jacob has been with me for a year. He is my 6th employee. So I've gone through 5 guys prior to Jacob. And, they all had their own stories of why they didn't work out. But at the end of the day, I did get a little bit of discouraged every now and then, because of course you're putting a lot of time, money, and effort into training, an employee, for them just to leave, or for it to just not work out, or sorry, as I was saying, I just knew it wasn't sustainable for me to be out here by myself during summer. During spring, it's beautiful. The weather's great. The grass is coming out of dormancy. You're using a hoodie for half of the day, and then when you start to get a little bit hot, you'll take it off, but it's nothing crazy. But once it's the middle of June, July, August, September, that's what's gonna determine if you're going to stay in this business or not, because a lot of us will be like, I can't do this, I'm not going to be doing that, especially if you don't have like these commercial equipments like I do. You're going to start off with what you can afford, which probably isn't a lot, but it's definitely worth it to like just put up for that time period if it's a year or 2 years. But again, it's like just being smart with your money. Don't go out there and buy alcohol, vape, cigarettes, etc. Go out and party, ordering fast food or Uber or DoorDash. Like all that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you go through your statements, it does affect. It does put a ding in your wallet. But anyways, you need that second set of hands. I know. Before I hired my first employee, I was kind of like, I was kind of like fighting myself, because my wife was the main one that was like, hey, you need help, because like I know what you're going through. I can see it. You're getting tired. You're not going to be able to sustain this in the long run. I was like, no, I got it. Trying to just be cool and really get that like machismo, just because of how I am and how I grew up and whatnot. But she knew that I needed that second set of hands, and she ultimately pushed me to get, to hire my first employee. But I was more kind of like thinking more about the numbers and be like, well, if I pay him $150 or $200, like, if he works 3 or 4 days, that's anywhere from like $600 to $800 or whatever. And I was really just looking at the numbers, but what I wasn't looking at was all the jobs that are going to come with that. We're able to do a lot more jobs. A job that would take me 3 or 4 hours, we're getting it done in an hour and a half to 2 hours once they're trained up. So you really have to try to get out of that mindset of looking at an employee as a liability, and look at it more as an asset. It's going to bring you more money. And then of course with that, you need to reward them as well. So Jacob has gotten in the 1 year that he's been with me, he's gotten 2 raises. Constantly bringing us like sports drinks, sodas, waters. I'll buy him lunch like once or twice a week. If not, then I'm bringing us lunch, because ultimately I want to keep him and make sure he's happy. And ultimately, like, just our chemistry is pretty good. Like, we joke around. He's using the mower now, so we'll rotate, from yard to yard. Yeah, we have days where I'm like constantly, like, not constantly, but where I'll kind of like get a little bit upset, because it's not, if he makes a mistake, it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, it doesn't get me upset, because it does. But it's kind of like coaching him and be like, hey Jacob, stop doing this, or kind of like I'll take those 3 or 4 minutes to kind of like coach him or tell him what he's doing wrong. And then kind of, I know I'll be a little bit upset, but I don't let that affect like the rest of our shift, because who wants to deal with a boss that's angry at you after you've said like, I'm sorry, or after you've learned from that mistake. So, for me, normally I'll coach him, and then it's probably like 30-40 minutes where we don't really talk to each other, because he knows that I'm upset. But after that window, I'm kind of like, compose yourself, Manny. It happened. He learned from it, and then move on. And and then it's like, back to like just talking shop and kind of, working and whatnot. But yeah, that's my biggest advice is, once you leave your 9 to 5 job, start hiring, even if it's like a part-time, because it's taken Jacob about 6 to 8 months to fully get to where he's at now. So, some guys, if you're an owner, where we are a different species, we get it quick. We're out there, we're hustlers. A client tells us, this is what I want, and we're like, we'll get it done. Don't worry about it. But with a lot of other people, you kind of have to like baby them and really coach them and develop them, and not everyone's the same. It's what I'm trying to say. And you have to have that patience and kind of not let your ego get the best of you. But anyways, like, subscribe. Appreciate y'all.